Right, we're back at it at Gauntlet AI. This is AJ, and this week we're working on open source, and I'm open sourcing an MCP server that I've been working on called Slot Starters. We're here at the landing page. Slot Starters is called Slot because it's a place to put your tokens. It's an MCP server that helps you and Claude, through Claude Desktop, find the best starter template for you, and then you can actually use that to do your AI-generated project as you continue to code. We're focusing on this because having a good starter is kind of like the barrier to getting started really quickly. With AI coding, it's often much harder to do all the piping and get all your stack together than it is to actually code your features. So this way you can get a starter that works for you and immediately get coding features. So here on the landing page, we have an explanation of like what the project is and also simple install instructions. You clone it, npm install. You can run the crawler yourself if you want, or there's like a pre-indexed copy of the index in the repo if you don't want to regenerate it. And here's how you actually install it in Claude Desktop. You need to add this configuration, add your open API key for the scraping and analysis. In case you're wondering what that actually looks like in practice, we should actually head over to the GitHub. So over on GitHub, there's a little bit of the documentation. Of course, we also have a more detailed doc site. But the GitHub is where we have this mermaid diagram where we show we're scraping GitHub and NPM for all the templates, starters, and boilerplates. And then based on sampling a few of those, we used GPT-4 Turbo in order to analyze them and come with a new ontology for better like searching and indexing all the properties that you'd care about in the starter. And then after we came up with that, we went through, coerced every repo that we found into that format, and then created it in a structured database, connected it to the MCP server, and then enabled it to do search for you, both for Claude and also on the website actually. So not only do we have the GitHub link, we also have more detailed docs if you need them, and this explore page, so you can actually visualize what all this looks like, right? So they have different technologies. You can actually like filter through them here, select a couple, stuff like that. Find like perfect matches, partial matches, and so on. But this is just sort of to like visualize like what is happening under the hood. The actual tool is for use in Claude. So if you're starting a Claude session because you want to chat about a new project that you're going to build with AI, you often will chat with it about the architecture, come up with a plan, make some requirements docs, and then you'll determine a stack that you want to use. Rather than doing that whole process, here today I'm going to pick up where you would leave off, right? At the end, you figured all that out, you have your documentation, you know what stack you want to use, and now you need to go either set that up manually yourself, or you would have to search the web in order to find a starter. But now that we have our MCP server, you can see this little tool over here. We actually have slot starters installed, and they have a search starters tool. So if you had just finished talking to Claude and deciding on what you're going to do to start your project, you could actually ask it here things like, find me the best starters that use Next.js and Firebase for auth and DB. Let me send that off, and you'll actually see it use the tool. We have to allow it, but it queries it based on what we asked. It gets sent back a bunch of results, and then immediately starts using that to generate an answer. And so they recommend one. If you aren't too keen on this and you want to know what else it found out, you can actually ask about that because the search tool by default should be returning like multiple. So even though it got multiple in the context, it just gave you one because you asked for one. So we can ask what are the other good alternatives and see what else it uses from that search. Okay, it's dubious about whether there's like other exact matches, which is like fair, but it's gonna actually start looking for like close matches. So it changed its query to be a bit more general. It didn't specify the features, and it found Benefish, React Firebase admin, and then has a recommendation about what the trade-offs of these things are. So you can see how this is like very powerful to finish an architecture discussion, get a bunch of good recommendations, and get started on your project. Excited to bring this to y'all. Thanks for checking in.